Hello, my name is Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association. Thank you for joining me for this IPA talk. Fortunate to have with us Cris Edwards. Cris is the 2023 Elementary Principal of the Year, principal at Richland County Elementary School. I got to remember that, Cris, because you and I were talking offline there about consolidation about a decade or so ago, and I've known you and the Richland County administrators for some time, so I just got to do a bit of a mental check on that. But and then also was elected as president-elect for IPA as well, which came after you were named Elementary Principal of the Year. So this has been quite a year for you, Cris.
It has been quite a year. It's very exciting, yes.
Yeah, for sure. So want to get into a couple of different things, Cris, as far as, your leadership and some of your thoughts related to that, your work there at Richland County, because you've got some really interesting and exciting things, the work that you've done related to the Leader in Me program. But we're recording this during the summer. We're not quite into the school year yet, so we'll see where this lands in terms of when we push it out for viewership. But I'd just be remiss if I didn't ask, did you do anything fun this summer, or what do you do to get yourself recharged, ready to go for the school year ahead?
Absolutely. So many fun things this summer. I've got a chance to go to the Model Schools Conference in Orlando and take some trips. A family trip with kids, and then a trip just with my husband. So we went north to Wisconsin, and we went south to Louisiana and Mississippi, and just did a lot of fun things, hiking, kayaking.
Right.
That's been a great way to recharge, spending time.
Now, you said you were earlier saying you were kayaking down in Louisiana with alligators, right?
Yes, we stayed on a bayou north of Avery Island where they actually manufacture Tabasco.
Oh.
And so,
did you have Tabasco?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And in fact, in their country store, they have Tabasco Coca-Cola, Tabasco ice cream.
Oh my gosh.
Just fun little things like that. And so we kayaked 5 miles there and 5 miles back, and saw about a dozen alligators, so it was exciting.
Right, that's cool. Did you pet the alligators
or
anything?
No, okay. Kept my distance.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So, Cris, just curious, about your story as far as school leadership is concerned. What got you interested in even being an administrator? And I know you've actually been in a couple of different schools, which you can share with us, but what got you started and being interested in doing this work at all?
Well, like so many people, I have a long line of educators in my family. My dad was a teacher. My uncle, my grandma was the cook at the elementary school. Everywhere I went, it was a relative. So I wasn't going to go into it.
Right.
I was bound to determine, nope, I was not going to do it. And I started at a junior college and transferred, and I took everything but education classes.
So did you have an idea of what you were going to be studying at that point in
Yeah,
time?
I really liked the idea of doing some sort of media.
Okay.
Like maybe radio, television broadcasting, and then really like political science. So I was taking a lot of history classes and English classes. So then I transferred to Eastern, and I walk in the doors, and Dr. Henry Tate, which many people know, was standing there and smiling, and there's a sign above him that said junior high education. So I just walked towards him, started talking, and signed up for classes, and I can't believe it, but I got a 612 degree and started teaching. That was the plan, but it delayed me. So I was a semester behind and student taught in the fall. And my favorite high school teacher found me over Thanksgiving break. He had moved to Arizona and was the principal at an all-boys juvenile correction camp. They were gang kids from California sent to live in the desert. It was an alternative to a prison.
Right.
So I was like, no way, I'm not doing that. And then I thought, do I want to sub for half a year? So I moved to Arizona.
Wow, really?
Yeah, taught there.
Really? Mm-hmm. So how many kids were in this facility or in this location?
Probably about 200.
All ages, or?
They were 13 to 17, and once they hit 18, they had to go back to a traditional prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But this was a residential facility then?
It was 100% residential, no gun facility.
Right.
And it was, sometimes they...
Meaning no gun, meaning the guards there either,
no.
right? So
Correct.
Nobody was...
out in the middle of the desert, there really wasn't anywhere to
go.
Yeah, exactly.
For
so
you either, then, apparently.
Yeah,
right?
and
So tell us about that experience.
Yeah.
What was it like working with those kids?
It was difficult.
Yeah.
And they were all had been in trauma, and and I was young and
Sure.
naive, and I was just trying my best, to save the world.
Yeah.
But what it really did was, I was homesick, so I came back after that year and got a job at my old high school. But I could take on any job at that point. I wasn't scared of anything because it was like it inducted me into about any behavior you can imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So from that point, then moving forward, what gets you to the seat that you're in now?
Yeah. So I went back to my old high school and did 1 year, and when you're only 5 years older than the seniors, and I was teaching seniors,
Sure.
I'd babysat some of them, and it wasn't, it's sort of like, you're like,
Right.
I'm too close in age. And they give you everything to the new teacher.
Of course.
I was cheerleading coach, drama coach, and where I student taught was Parkview Junior High School in Lawrenceville.
Okay.
And I loved those people, and a job came open. So I moved to Lawrenceville and taught there 14 years. But a year into it, I met my husband and moved to Olney and I thought about looking around, but I really loved it there. So then Eastern offered cohorts where you didn't have to travel. And I thought this would be a chance to get my master's degree and not have as much time on the road. And the cohort's a cool concept because you're with those same people.
Of course. Those are like the relationships you build for your entire career, right? You just get to know those people and work together and everything else.
Still have connections. So that was a great experience. And started looking for a job. And I was not successful that first year. Some of my cohort people, we were sort of chasing each other around at interviews,
Sure.
Robinson, Flora, just trying to get a job. But Marilyn Holt was the superintendent of my children, and I was in, it's going to sound unusual, but a funeral visitation line. She was by herself, I was by myself, and I struck up a conversation, and it was a long one, an hour probably wait. And she, by the end of it, said, I want you to give me a call in about, a half of a year.
Right.
And I thought, is this real? Is this like, let's do lunch, or is this like real? And I called her and she goes, yeah, I have a job. It's the dean of students at then it was East Richland High School.
Yeah.
And so I accepted it. And that was my first administrative job. And I've been in that school district ever since, but I've worked at all 3 buildings.
Right. Wow. Now that's like a true testament to be ready at any time.
Ready to
right?
go.
I mean, if you're talking to her in a line at a funeral, like not many people I think can share that kind of story.
She's taught me to be a good, also mentor to others because I watched what she does. She looks for talent, nurtures it, gets people in the right seat. And then that is something that I've been striving to do too,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess it kind of leads into one of the questions that I have for you is besides your traditional preparation, what are maybe some things that you did then or are still doing now that prepared you for the role of school leader?
Well, interesting. I had great experiences and great people. So, Olney's a small community, Richland County. So the kids are great, the teachers are phenomenal. And that administrative team is probably I didn't know about IPA too much my first year or two. I mean, I knew enough, a little bit, but not tons. So I had looked for mentors in my neighbor. So Cris Simpson, Chad LaCrone, and then they said, we want you to go to the elementary school. Suzanne Hahn's going to retire in 4 years.
Yeah.
Learn everything you can. And I thought, number one, I can't even teach in an elementary school. And I thought 4 years, is that enough to learn everything that Suzanne Hahn knows? Because she's another
Probably not, because
mentor.
Suzanne,
She's great.
I know Suzanne, she's amazing,
Yeah.
but also an elementary principal here, by the way.
She is, and we have enjoyed that moment together. So that was awesome. Yeah. So I really feel like the mentor program, like it was kind of an unofficial one, but that was probably, not that the classes of college aren't great, but you got to get your feet wet. Get on the ground, get your boots on the ground and see what's going on. And that was probably absolutely the best thing.
Yeah. So, Cris, talk to us about what you've got going on right now. Sure love to just hear about your school and the work that you've got going on there. And you've talked about you being at all grade levels, which is fascinating in and of itself. But you've been now back at the elementary 4 or 5 years, is that right?
Yeah, so I did 5 years there, went to the middle school for 4, and now I'm back, and this will be starting my 5th year. Yeah, and it's a great place. It is just bubbling with excitement.
Right.
We have 1,100 kids, so south of Chicago, we are one of the biggest elementary schools.
Sure.
But we are excited. We're opening an early learning center, And our littles.
I think I've seen pictures on Twitter. I think even
Yes.
Dr. Sanders, our
He
state
did.
superintendent's been there.
He
check
did
some
come
of
and
that stuff.
visit.
Yeah.
And so the preschool is going to move out in this school year. So we're drastically dropping our numbers down. We're losing 200 kids out to the Early Learning Center. But it's a really great place. So we have, we're a community where we do have some poverty.
Sure.
But every kid's a leader at Richland County Elementary School. And I was so excited when I first came to work there that they were a part of the Leader in Me program, which is Franklin Covey.
Yep.
And over the years, we became a lighthouse school. And then this spring, we became a legacy school.
Which is very rare, correct?
So there were 4 in the world.
Oh, my goodness.
And they won't tell us a number, but we're 5, 6, 7, or 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so Muriel Summers came to my school, and my husband's like, I don't know who that is, but people in education, a lot of people know who she is.
That's a big deal.
And we rolled out the red carpet because I think we were more excited about her coming than even getting the award.
Sure.
But we hosted them that day, and it was really exciting. So Mr. Simpson, my superintendent, held on to the news of my award. And so actually when they came to do...
Meaning news for the elementary
for
principal
my,
of the year award, yes.
So
yes.
we do the celebration circle. It's something really neat about my school too. You can't take 1,300 people anywhere inside the school together. So we have to do it outside. So at the beginning and end of the year, we have these big celebration circles. And so we were doing that, showing the Franklin Covey people kind of what we're all about. I wrap up the circle and he's taking the microphone and I don't understand
What's
why.
up? Yep.
Yeah. So they used that time to announce that award. So that was, and invited my family. So it was something special.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That day was almost too much to take in,
I'm
honestly.
Sure. Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. So with earning this legacy award, I mean, what are things that are happening in your school, Cris, to be able to earn that type of award? And just speak, I've had familiarity with the Leader in Me program for some time. My kid's actually part of that in the Chatham School District as well. But, I'm just curious about what does that program do for your school, for your kids? And you said, everybody's a leader.
Everybody's a leader.
Yeah, so
and that's
what's
not
happening?
easy when you have
Right.
that many children to have them all have a leadership role. So what that looks like is it's small to big. In the classroom, kids have leadership jobs. They have a student data notebook where they set goals, track goals, and celebrate goals. I think back to my elementary, I couldn't have told you what my scores were on anything. You might see a grade on a paper, but you wouldn't know overall, like here's how I'm testing, here's where I should be. We do student-led parent-teacher conferences. It's really a mindset difference. So for example, if I have a kid that's struggling with behavior, instead of punishing them, which sometimes there's a detention.
Of course.
But if you don't know math, we teach you math. If you don't know how to do behavior, we teach you how to behave. And so we have some programs and interventions in place to help that. But one might be, so Jason, you're not behaving, but we know that you really got along with your second grade teacher and now you're in third grade. So we might schedule a time that you go maybe help in that classroom. Or maybe we have the fifth graders running our bus lines. So we have all these little pieces, people helping custodians, and it gives them ownership of the school. Because if you're the one that's helping the custodians, you're not gonna probably throw litter down.
Yeah.
And it's
right.
that idea that it's our school. If kids have ideas, we listen to them.
Yeah.
It can be expensive, but
course.
we had a kid had an idea last school year. He's like, why is our mission and vision not outside? So I talked to a bank and they helped us and we made a big banner and it's now outside our gym,
Oh, I love
permanently
that.
hung up.
I love that. And that was good for you, right?
I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah,
Kids have great
absolutely.
ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, to be listening to them, no doubt. Well, so obviously you guys in your school with your kids, you're working deep in leadership and really encouraging that with them. I'm curious, Cris, for yourself, when you think about leadership, maybe your style, what your core values are, one of the things I really like to draw out of our principles of the year, because there are things you're doing to help get you into this position that you're in right now. What do you value with regards to leadership? What are some things that you feel like are really important that everybody ought to take into account?
because I'm no different than anyone else. There's principals doing excellent things everywhere. I think a lot of it is to empower people within my building. I don't have to have the glory. I want...
So how do you do that? How do you go about empowering them?
Well, I think it's giving people permission to be in charge of things, to make some decisions.
Yeah.
Like I do like to be in the know, but to I have action teams instead of committees in the building, and they run things. And it's important that I have great people I'm working with, because it's too big of a job if I don't. I mean, I have a phenomenal admin team at the elementary school, and our whole district does. But I really think the key is looking ahead at how to get others in the role. Like who's coming up, who needs some mentoring, whether it's a paraprofessional becoming a teacher becoming a principal. I think I always have to stay fresh with my professional learning. I've really enjoyed IPA over the years. Suzanne Hahn drugged me on the board 15 years ago.
Love
and
Suzanne.
said, "You're going to be the awards chair." I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is, and those people on that board, they were like across the Wabash Valley region, Don Dillon, and all these people that had been in the career so long. I learned from them just great things. But then it also kind of just trickles down. It's just really looking for the greatness in others, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's obvious as you now sitting as president-elect, we just came from an executive committee meeting in preparation for a board meeting next week, and you were talking in there, everybody was just sharing how the search for teachers is going right now. And you mentioned how you've got paraprofessionals that are seeking being teachers, which leaves those seats open right, while they're doing that or whatever. Which, though, I mean, that kind of cuts both ways. Obviously, you've got to find some replacements, but how awesome for you, because now you're empowering them, I'm sure, is what's encouraged them to do that. And hopefully you'll be able to reap the benefits from them doing that work so that you could turn around and hire them when they're done, right?
I usually get the last few years, 1 or 2 student teachers a year. This year I have 7.
Oh, wow.
And I think
that's incredible.
It is incredible. And a lot of it is...
That's encouraging, by the way, because that bucks against the trend.
And you gotta not take the easy route. So when the high school kids want to come to work with the little kids, because we have intro to teaching and just a few programs, you let them come. If any college kid wants to come observe, you let them come. I had a paraprofessional that she was a sub paraprofessional, Ukraine family. And the husband had been here when he was doing the high school exchange, and he kept in touch with his family. They got permission to come over for 2 years.
Right.
So she starts subbing. Well, her English isn't great, but I went ahead and hired her for this upcoming school year because it's good for us and it's good for them.
Right.
And so I think there would have been an easier route, but I think it's what's right. It's helping others too, all the time, constantly.
Yeah. Well, right now we have to do the hard work, right, to get the educators that we need and take care of some of the shortage issues. So that's very fascinating.
Yeah.
So I got basically a last question for you here, Cris. When you think about this profession, you've obviously got quite a bit of experience now in the role, and you're even in a position in your career where you've been back for a second tour of duty in the role that you're in right now, which is very interesting. But school leadership isn't easy. There's no doubt about that. It can be a hard job, though I think that's the hard about the job is what makes it so important and meaningful, right? And the opportunity to have impact. But from your perspective, if you're speaking to educators that are maybe on the front end of their career, or those that maybe hadn't considered school leadership, or those that maybe are, I mean, what would you say to them to encourage them to think about being a school leader? Why is it really important?
Well, we have to do it. I mean, it's been the best job in the world, and
why? Why do you say
it's the best job? Because it's with the kids, and if I can put my head on my pillow at night because I make every decision for what's best for children. Yeah. People may not like my decisions. Teachers, you take away something that they really like, a program or something, but if it's right for children, it's the best thing for children. There's no hard decisions.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, they're difficult. I want happy staff because I have the best staff, and
Yeah.
I want all 150 of them happy.
Right.
It's not always possible every day though, but when we do it, what's right for children, at the end of the day, it's what's right. It's the best thing to do.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing from you is the opportunity to have influence and impact, right?
Oh,
on
absolutely.
others. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's just the whole trickle down theory. We want a happy town, a happy state, a happy country,
Right, yeah.
where everything's going okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations,
Thank you.
Elementary Principal of the Year, Cris Edwards.
Thank you.
Principal at Richland County Elementary School and now President-elect for IPA.
Yes.
So all that's really exciting.
It is exciting.
Going to be a good year ahead. Well, again, my name's Jason Leahy, Executive Director for IPA, with Cris Edwards, who's IPA President-elect and our Elementary Principal of the Year this year. As always, if there's anything that IPA can do for you, don't hesitate to give us a call at 217-525-1383, or you can check us out on the web at www.ilprincipals.org. Take care.